Welcome back everyone to part 2 of the video in which we're trying to repair a Panasonic ES10 because it has good pass-through features for correcting video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start replacing some of these capacitors. I'm going to try to do them in situ. So the way that I normally do this is to take a picture. Really it's just to show the orientation, so I know which is the negative, and what I'll do is I'll take a picture here and here. Here, and what I'll do, I'll obviously do one at a time, and I've got the capacitors, so we've got we only need one actually from here. So this is a 470 10 volt for this one, and for the power supply board I've got some 680, and basically they're all 10 volts, although some of these are less than that. So the higher voltage should cover it anyway. So they'll probably just sit a little bit bigger on this board. So I'm going to snip the legs and solder onto existing, or the old legs of the capacitors I'm taking out. So I'll start that exercise now, and I'll show you after I've done the first one. So this is the first one. It may not look pretty, but when you're working on old stuff like this and it hasn't really got much value to anyone, then I think this is an acceptable thing to do. And also, as you can see, there's no issue with space or ventilation in here. So that's it. Yeah, so that's the first one in. So I'm going to start on the power supply, which is just over here. So one thing to note here is the board here, it's not the motherboard, it's the power supply, but the power supply, everything is clearly labelled. So you've got a positive there and a negative there, and when you look at the capacitor, that's the negative side there. It has the shorter length as well, so you just have to trim the legs down, put some solder on the capacitor, and then put some solder here, and then basically hold it in situ with a soldering iron and solder it on. So that's how I tend to do that. Okay, so that's one of the power supply ones done. I guess in hindsight I should have probably started on this one, because now I may have given myself less room to work on, although I can obviously bend this, I can bend this one over. And then I've got this one to do here. So these two look to be the immediate ones. So I'll get both of those done now, and then I'll power the unit on. So I did decide to take this board out actually. It was only 3 screws holding it in, plus one on the back there. And it's basically because I had trouble with this capacitor here. So at least now I can actually do a proper job on this board. I didn't really want to take this board out because obviously it's more involved, but this one I can certainly replace the capacitors, or the rest of them, correctly now. So I've just put the power supply board back in. As you can see, I've got a couple of raised capacitors. They were just easier to do without messing with the tracks underneath, although I did have one which I put all the way through. A little bit of a disaster. I was using one of my old soldering irons, and I don't really know why I kept hold of it, because it's way too hot, and it made a bit of a mess. So I did have a spare one which I had as a gift, and I've just opened that one up, and that's a temperature controlled one, and it had a finer tip as well. So hopefully I've recovered it, but I'm not too sure. So I'm just going to power this up now. Okay, so I'm just going to press this button here. It's come up hello, faint, so that's something. Let's actually see if it does anything. Don't know how long these things normally take. Okay, so it said no disc. I don't know if I'm on the right channel for the TV, so I'm going to try AV2. Okay, so it's that. I'll just stick a disc in, any random DVD, because before this was not reading the DVD. So have the capacitors made any difference? Looks like they have, but we're not getting any signal. And I don't know if it's because the SCART I've got is not very good. This is AV1, which I think is what is plugged into it. Could be, although it could be AV2, that's the only thing. Nothing on the screen. So unfortunately, no picture as yet. I've tried SCART and component output. The old plasma TV I've got here will allow an analog signal through the aerial connection, so I have no idea if this will do anything. Actually, I guess it probably won't, because it's just a pass-through, because these used to be able to record, at least I believe, from an analog source. But I'll just try that. Failing that, there's a couple more capacitors that look okay from the outside, like they're not blown. So maybe replacing some more over this side would solve the problem. But I'd be interested to know if anyone's had the same issue. So the issue I've had basically is that I've changed the capacitors on the power board and one on the main board here, and the good thing is I've been able to get the DVD to play. The bad thing is I've got no output on the screen. I've got nothing coming up on the screen. So so I've kind of fixed one small thing, but I'm not there yet. So yeah, any ideas, let me know please, and I'll take a third look at it. Thank you for watching.